Right. Hello and welcome to today's podcast episode. I'm super excited to have Mike Korenugin with me of SE Ranking. Mike, how are you?
Yeah, hi Chris. I'm delighted to actually join this conversation today. And yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful day here in Germany, in Osnabrück, where I'm visiting my family today.
Awesome. Yeah, you're in Germany. I'm originally from Switzerland, right on the border to Germany, Basel, but now I live in Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Um, so hopefully you'll have a wonderful Easter and enjoy your time in Germany. All right, so hey, let's dive right into it. We're going to talk about a very interesting topic today. And I see you have your family there in the background.
Yeah,
That's
I
how
mean,
live interviews go.
that's my daughter. Yeah, she kind of tends to disregard some of the rules sometimes especially when she wants to see me. Oh
That's
well,
okay.
maybe we'll see
It
some
makes it
some.
interesting. Yeah, so we're going to talk about AI overviews. Hey, but first, Mike, why don't you please introduce yourself, yourself, the company, SE Ranking, and then let's dive into it.
All right, yeah, I'll do it a very short and brief intro of both. Um, I'm Mike, and I've been in product management for over a decade now, specializing mostly in B2B SaaS businesses. And the goal for me was really always to help smaller companies challenge some of the behemoths of this world using product-led growth techniques. I've been working in organizations that help other businesses in document automation. I was working at a digital marketing agency. We're building at some point a scale out resilient storage, like similar to Amazon's S3. And this journey has eventually led me to my current role here at SE Ranking. Here I'm a director of product, and together with an amazing team, we're building something incredible, I'd say, and something I strongly believe in. It's an SEO platform that already helps a lot of smaller teams and agencies and professionals in mid-sized businesses to punch more often than not way above their weight. So that's what we're doing. We've got a bunch of solutions in our platform. Long time ago, we started as a simple rank tracker. I think it was more than 11 years ago now. Wow.
Wow.
And over time, we've added more and more to it with competitive research solutions, keyword research solutions, content editing, um, and a very robust API too. So now and over the years, we've built the AI muscle too and machine learning muscles too. So now we are a fully fledged platform. I'd say in a lot of ways, we're also we actually outcompete some of the bigger players on the market in terms of functionality too. So
Yeah.
not gonna name the names yet.
So so for full disclosure, I'm a bit biased. So I love SE Ranking. Um, I'm a brand ambassador for SE Ranking. I don't make money off the tool, but you guys are giving my students. I teach part of a master's degree at the University of Strasbourg. So you guys give my students free access to your tool, which I'm very thankful for. And also we get to use the tool for free. So it's basically the only SEO tool that we use. It does the trick. We don't need any of the other tools that are out there. Yeah. So I'm biased, and I always love when I get the merch from you guys and like the stickers. Yeah. So yeah, well done. All right. So hey, Mike, we're gonna talk about AI overviews. As you are aware, there's already the next thing. Google is testing AI mode. But before we talk about the AI stuff, just quickly for people to get to know you a little bit better, just quickly answer or pass or whatever. Wine or beer? What kind of person are you?
Good question. I'd say it's almost always that'll be wine. Although over the past years, ever since we've got that little girl you might have seen in the
Yeah.
background, we have been very occasional drinkers, probably once in a few months a
Okay.
glass. But yeah, still wine.
Cool. Dogs or cats?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I actually love both, and primarily throughout my life, I've been a dogs guy. But recently, we've got a test drive a cat
Yeah.
because some of our friends they were leaving for a vacation, and we've got one for a week. I loved it too. Now I think that I love both, but
No.
that taking that out of context, dogs.
You're very Swiss in answering those questions. Very neutral. Last question, beach or mountain?
Mountain, any day, any
Mountain.
day. I love hiking. I don't know. We live in Portugal. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah.
I just get enough beach, but mountains is my go-to place for recharging.
All right. Well, you're gonna come and visit me here in Boulder, Colorado. On side note, my wife and I are practicing getting ready to climb Mount Kilimanjaro in September.
Wow.
Yeah, but we're also gonna go to Zanzibar for a beach vacation after the hike. All right. Enough of the personal stuff. Um, so Mike, based on SC Rankings data, what are the most significant trends you're currently observing in how Google's AI overviews, and if you want to briefly explain what those are in case some people don't know what Google AI overviews are impacting different industries or search types. So really quickly, what are AI overviews? And then if you want to answer my question.
Absolutely. First of all, even before we dive into what it is, we've been closely watching it, the Google AI reviews back from the Google I/O in 2023 when they've introduced it, and
Yeah.
we've built a solution to track it that year in 2023, and then made a public solution in 2024, and we've been actually actively researching the topic month after month and like recapping the years of what's been changing. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of expertise on the team. Quickly going back to what AI overviews are, it's essentially it's a LLM based, it's AI search. We've actually recently did a study of how people perceive that. It's AI search essentially. It's AI giving you a quick recap of what you're gonna find in the search results. So, and Google started experimenting with that back in 2023. Throughout 2024, there's been a lot of changes, right? And
Yeah.
now to talk about the trends, and I can do top 3, top 5. There are actually a lot of changes going on in the industry because of AIOs. But I'd start with conversational search being number one. It's the term that we're using internally to essentially AIOs are being far more present for long tail keywords. The longer you go, the higher the chances of AIO are. It's like if you take a I believe for a 10 word keyword, the chances are about 70% right now to get an AIO, independently of the topic. And we believe that this is a big shift towards Google expecting you and kind of teaching users that, yeah, you can type in whatever you want and we'll still give you the answer. And so that's why we call it conversational search. This is a trend number one for sure. Throughout the last year, this has been a pattern that's still with us. I'd say number 2 is general presence of AIO and general presence of AI generated snippet at the very top of the page. I believe right now in the US, we're talking like 20%, very close to 20% of all the keywords feature AIO. And it varies significantly by different industries. And this is going to be my number 3 point, but 20% is already a lot. Like Google started by targeting about 20% in, I believe, in early 2024, and then mid 2024 they dropped AIO's presence dropped to like 7% or something like this. So it was far lower, I believe 3 times lower than it is right now. And now we're back. We're back at close to 20%. It seems like the presence of AIO continues to grow throughout these the Q1 too. And I'd say another big one that I want to mention before we dive into discussing these, there are obviously more, is that different niches, different industries and topics, they have different trends in terms of AIOs. Like if you take sensitive questions like your money or your life, like this is a huge category.
Yeah.
There, the AIO presence is about 49%, which seems like a lot. But then when you distill it down into something like relationships, the presence of AIO is above 60%, I believe. And then when you look into politics, it's close to zero now, close to 1%, which seems to kind of support Google's statement even in late 2023 when they were saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to try our best not to interfere with any kind of political information and news, etc." So it seems that they're still playing that safe. Another thing that really surprised me when we were doing the research for like in recapping 2024 is that Google throughout 2024 they have been experimenting a lot with e-commerce requests, and for those right now AIOs are almost non-existent. It seems that they still value conversion rate over the hype of AI, and probably AIOs have been hurting those, and people probably were just buying less, so they took it down. So it's almost non-existent.
Yeah, I mean, so let's be clear and honest. So Google was caught off guard, right, when ChatGPT launched in November of 2022. Shocking, because they basically made the transformer technology open source, which then ChatGPT and other tools they took advantage of, right? So super interesting to see that Google was behind the ball. But I've been doing SEO for like 30 years now. Finally, something is happening that's different than the traditional stuff. So I'm personally extremely excited about Gen AI, Agentic AI, new features like AI overviews, AI mode, etc. Also, just a quick note, and maybe we can talk about this a little bit later. So I was invited immediately to talk about how AI is gonna, impact global SEO and digital marketing. And then I've been using or referring to myself as an international AI and SEO expert because I've been talking at conferences around the world about this stuff, right? Now, if you do a Google search for international AI and SEO expert, I show up in the AI overviews, and there's a link. It says, off bold SEO marketing, and the link, the anchor text, it actually links to an AI and SEO webinar that we are doing later this month. So it's not just going to the homepage, but to relevant content. So these AI overviews are getting actually better and better and better. So I'm very excited about it.
They definitely are getting better. Back to your original topic, I think Google, in terms of technology, Google was ready back then. It's just that I think they were thinking that the users are not ready, right? The legislation is not ready, so they were playing it safe. And then the gin was out of the bottle, and they had to catch up. But speaking of AI, I think this is a great example of your personal brand, right? And being an international AI expert at that. What we also see right now, and I'm just I'm going into some more plans too. But right now, for example, we're working on letting our customers analyze the AI overview snippets in terms of which brands and products it's mentioning too.
Yeah.
Right. And with our early analysis, what we're seeing is that oftentimes it's the citations are actually trying to avoid relying on the links from those brands, meaning that they try to get kind of unbiased information from third-party sources to include you into the lists.
I mean, oh my God, I have so many more questions. Let's see how much time we have here. Well, let's tackle the next question. So how can SEO professionals like me best leverage SE Rankings AI Overviews Tracker, which is an awesome new feature, to adapt the strategies and maintain visibility in this new landscape. So maybe quickly explain very briefly, what is the AI Overviews Tracker, and then, if you can please answer my question.
Yeah, I mean, basically, as I was mentioning before, we started as a rank tracker, right? And AI results tracker is an extension of that focuses specifically on this new and hot SERP feature, which is AI overviews. And what it does is it tells you for which keywords you've got AI overviews, and you can actually see how visibility is changing. And this is something that when we talk with our users, they say is critical to them, understanding how different keywords or how AI overuse presence is changing across the keywords that they're looking to rank for. Because still, so many SEO professionals are focusing on blue links, right? And it it's important as there's a lot of organic overlap of what's being cited in the AIO versus what's available in top 20. But the first thing that you want to do is just track visibility, AIO availability and presence, right? So that's number one thing. And that's number one thing that we're hearing from SEO professionals who are working with AIOs, that they just want to see how, for these keywords, do we get AIOs reliably? Are they there every day? Are they just disappearing from week to week? Or these keywords are just not plain, aren't affected by AIOs at all right now, and we can just rely on traditional blue links performance? That's number one. Number two is, well, just understanding your website citation levels for AIO. Like how are you being cited there? That's number two. Number three is something that I've just been mentioning, understanding the overlap. Because for different keywords, the overlap of organic results versus what AIO is using for citations varies drastically. Sometimes it can be just as low as 15%, and sometimes it's 80. So you want to know how Google treats this topic, this keyword. Is it the same as SEO and you're safe and sound just following your regular practices, or you have to go above and beyond and look for other ways to get at the top of the page? I'd say these are the major ones right now. You can obviously also look into how different competitors are performing across AIO, who's getting out of citations and into them. But right now, it's presence, citations, organic overlap as some of the key metrics that people are leveraging on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome. And obviously, I don't want to make this podcast a sales pitch, but I got into this very early. Been hosting webinars about it. We did host a half-day paid workshop a little while ago, so I'll drop the link to the workshop below in the description field of the video, and also guides that we're talking about. SE Ranking published some guides, so we'll make sure to check the description field of this video for additional information. All right, onward.
Yeah, Chris, just to quickly jump in. I don't want it to sound and to appear like a sales pitch. I just really wanted to talk about like what customers want. And we did a bunch of interviews and a bunch of surveys that we also repeated recently. We've talked to like over 50 professionals in the who are actually working with AI overviews and LLMs, and we're checking in whether like what they're looking for, how they're measuring performance. And right now, what we're seeing is people are looking at two things, right? At the end of the day, it's still leads, right? What your business gets. And then the closest proxies are branded traffic and either referral traffic in case of LLMs or your AIO traffic in case of Google, right? So these are the top metrics people are looking for, and this is something that we're working on to make sure that we are actually responding to the needs. And then you just drill down from there. You look at mentions, like is your brand mentioned in AI overviews? Because as we just discussed, Google doesn't want your links and citations, so it doesn't give you a complete picture. So we want to make sure that you know whether you're just appearing in text or you're being used as a source.
Yeah.
And both actually drive traffic, just different amounts.
Agree.
And yeah.
And by the way, so I mean, I do all the sales calls here, sales calls, I educate, but I do all the calls, and I'm more and more people are asking, hey, are you guys optimizing for AI overviews? So it's a real thing, right? People are starting to understand what it is, how important it is. They see, that more and more AI overviews are showing up. So that leads me to my next question. I have some strong opinions on that, but what are some practical tips for optimizing content to potentially appear in AI overviews? Love to hear your
Oh,
answer.
yeah. This is definitely a hot topic, and it's also you'll hear as many opinions as
Yeah.
you'll talk with many different people. There are quite a few things, and when we talk with different SEO professionals and when we do research, we see that there are a lot of factors, right? I'll just name a few that people might want to focus on. Like number one, I've talked about long tail keywords. Yeah, go for those. I'd say
Yeah.
go for those zero search volume queries with 9, 10 keywords. Sorry, 10 words. That's what you want to include in your SEO strategy. Mm. On the technical side, we see that AOs like HTTPS websites dominate AO. I don't think you can actually be non-secure HTTP now in
Yeah.
rank at all. But just in case anybody missed that, that's still super important. And another point that's all jokes aside is structured data or schema markup, right? We're seeing that a lot of the tags are it looks like LLMs are really looking at that, and both LLMs and Google specifically. So structured metadata and the nuanced metadata beyond just the title and description actually helps. Um, Another one is probably not as actionable. What we see is AIOs, they favor older websites, right? Older domains specifically, like especially those that have like 15, 20, 25 years. You probably, right? In that case, if you're starting a new project, this is advice that worked before too. If you can find a domain that's been there for some time, it's gonna help you advance much faster. And I guess the main point is that a lot of classic SEO techniques still work because for a lot of keywords, you just want to see which ones have significant overlap with organic results. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's where
And then, I mean,
I
so
stop.
one thing, it's the content, right? Make sure you actually write. Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah,
just implied, right? Make sure you actually write original,
100%.
not AI generated content, that's actually useful to people out there in combination with all the things that you said. And then one thing that's critically important is the EEAT of the EEAT score of the person that's actually publishing the content. So I've been doing this SEO stuff like 30 years. My EEAT score is extremely high. So if I publish a piece of content that follows all the things that you just discussed, right, I have a way better chance to rank in AI overviews and high in Google than somebody that has a lower EEAT score. So that's
That's
what
true.
I would
Yeah,
add to you. Yeah. Uh,
for sure, for sure. And yeah, as I was thinking about this, uh, I remember very recently our SEO team also did an experiment with creating a few smaller websites primarily with AI generated content, and yeah, the results are basically telling us the same thing. You want to use AI to speed up your work, but you don't want to rely on it for your personal bias, for expertise, for fact checking, right? It won't
yeah.
create the perfect content for you on its own, without you making decisions, without you being in the driver's seat of what exactly you're creating, what is the tone, and making sure that it sounds like an actual human and it's something that people would like. It's of no use.
Yeah. So, and we developed our own AI agent where the AI is doing a lot of the research, but it's still, it's like, it's an AI assisted, human driven process. So that's what I would recommend at this point. Um, let's jump to the next question here. So beyond adapting to AI overviews, how else is AI changing the way SEO professionals should approach things like keyword research, content creation, and link building? I mean, that this is a very, very broad question.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your
Um,
thoughts?
I mean, you just talked about your tool. That's actually something that comes to mind first, or your approach rather, in general,
Yeah.
what you call micro SEO strategies. I think it's a brilliant example of using AI tools in general. Um, it's just it's just the way I think people should be optimizing their workflows. But then if we take that aside, I see a lot of professionals that we talk with, they take on similar approaches, although less sophisticated for sure. They would use LLMs to quickly find potential topics, right, that they're not covering, look for themes that competition is not covering, right? They basically they're a lot of SEO professionals are now relying on LLMs to do some of the basic research work that would otherwise took you hours, if not days, sometimes, and now it's just a few minutes, which is amazing. So you can just extend, classic people also ask section in a lot of research tools and go beyond that and just ask AI for that. Or what we also see is um, some SEO professionals or some smaller teams, especially, they would heavily leverage LLMs for drafting the content too. Again, it all comes down to having a good prompt, but then you invest into it once, and then you iterate, and then you rely on it forever. It saves you hours and hours every week. In terms of keyword research, that's something that we've just talked about. I, there are a few things. One, um, longer tail keywords, right? You focus on those, and then with you can ask AI to actually generate prompts and help you understand how people will be asking similar questions for you to find those very low search volume keywords. It's a great tool for this, and it's something that I use often for my pet projects too. Um, I'd say in terms of not tools, but in terms of how work is being changed. Before I go to this, eh, there was one last bit that I didn't cover. It was backlinks, right? In terms of backlinks, we're just seeing that um, higher quality backlinks now are even more important because that's what Google loves. And what we're seeing is that some people are going into high or heavy on social, right, where they would try to find people to talk about them on Reddit, for example,
Yeah.
or they would go and find ways to get listed in listicles in in the articles would be like top 10, top 15 in your sphere, because those seem to be really um, high on Google's tier of what's important for their AO responses.
Actually, here's a quick free link tip on how we use like social to create backlinks. So Google absolutely loves LinkedIn. So I record a weekly Friday SEO tip, right? And then I'm not gonna lie, I mostly use the AI to create a summary of, the video that I created, and then, I create a very well written post for LinkedIn for my newsletter. I'll put a link to the newsletter below in the description field here. And then if you add a link in that newsletter on LinkedIn, actually counts as an active backlink, right? So this is like the
Yeah.
easiest way to, as you mentioned, to use social to create a backlink, right? So, all right, cool. Still have a lot of questions here. Let's continue. What are your thoughts on the balance between human expertise and AI tools in SEO?
Oh yeah,
Balance
I'm
between, yeah, human expertise and AI tools in SEO.
I love this question, honestly. And I think you can already see the line of like the thread of how I approach this throughout our conversation. But for me, it all boils down to a very simple statement. I think that AI is here to increase our efficiency, to do a lot of analysis, a lot of the groundwork, while people are here to still evaluate, strategize, create, and make the calls, make decisions. Right. So that's what I see uh, as kind of the foundation, the bedrock of what's going to happen. And when you look at it this way, although obviously there are other possibilities, but this is my vision for how it's going to go, the more optimistic one, that human expertise is still going to be uh, critical to leveraging AI in a way that actually helps businesses. And yeah, tell me.
Go ahead. I'll let you finish, then I have a few words
I
to
kind of
add.
finished this thought. I have more to say, but feel free to ask.
Yeah, so um, we have built a virtual quiz here at Boulder SEO Marketing, where we upload, I do a lot of speaking, etc., etc. I share a lot of really what I believe is good information, podcasts, conferences, etc. We record this stuff. We have built a micro language model, virtual quiz, where my team has access to, so that they don't have, I have no time, right? I work usually
That's
7 till
incredible.
6. Yeah, yeah. And then we also leverage it for them to, use that tool to answer questions, to get into roundups, etc. To me, that's a perfect example how anybody can use this technology, right? People like me were busy, like my employees get very little of my time, but this way, hey, go and ask virtual Chris, right? Use this technology. That thing is actually smarter than I am. Back to you.
Wow, that's just incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I really now I want to learn more, but I also don't want to circumvent the entire conversation. Mm. All right, to add to this, we're talking about the balance of human expertise and AI tools and
Yeah.
SEO. To add a bit of context from SE ranking itself, the company, right? Very early on, the leaders here they recognized the importance, right? We've been building our ML and AI muscle for years now. We're we're leveraging machine learning for obviously for a lot of traffic estimations, for how we assess the search volumes. A lot of different numbers that you'll see on the platform are actually already ML powered, and AI is being used across the board too. With content editor right now, we're going
Yeah.
harder on insights and making sure that the rankings are proactive. So the it's not just me. We also see that AI as an organization, and we see that AI is here to just supercharge the experts. But I think the unintended, or maybe for some people it's an intended consequence of this, is that, well, if an expert is going to be working on this, right? There's going to be there was typically a few associates working alongside, and now there's not always space for them because a lot of this work is being automated. So my personal fear in this regard, in terms of like how the workforce and SEO itself is going to evolve, is that how do we continue getting experts in 20 years
Yeah.
or in 15 years? This is a big question for me that I don't have an answer for now.
I mean, God, I watched so many YouTube videos on AI in general, and obviously AI and SEO. We're going to see so many interesting changes. One thing that you spoke about, the content editor, Mike, one thing, a recommendation that I have is, build a new functionality where people can create a personalized, me or whatever, upload content like we do, and then they can feed on that tool to create content. So we're setting up AIs for our clients now, because then we all don't always have to go back and ask for like basic information. We're like uploading really high quality information. We build a virtual client. I tell you, the content is incredible that we're now able to create using with our micro SEO methodology. Yeah. So
Wow.
that's just a little tip here.
Yeah, we'll
Uh,
we'll definitely get there. I mean, the moment I remember what I watched that video where you guys were talking about the micro SEO strategy
yeah.
now probably 4 times already already. I love it. I love it. And we'll get there. It's just that we are not 5,000 people strong. We cannot work
Yeah.
in so many streams at the same time, but
Oh
it is
man.
definitely something that we are tackling later.
So on that note, so I just spoke at a conference in Seattle, DigiMarcon Seattle. I'm going to speak in Houston in a couple of weeks at DigiMarcon Houston. I'm going to drop the link below in the field. So one thing, consensus that appear talking with other people that are as passionate about this stuff as I am. I think the smaller companies, they have a massive advantage over the massive big companies. We're way more
Oh yeah.
agile. If somebody like us can create an AI agent, in like 3 months, like this is very powerful. Big companies, they're like, oh yeah, we're starting to use Gen AI now and AI, agentic AI. They're so far behind. Things are gonna take much longer to implement. So that's why, I mean, you guys are much bigger than we are, obviously, but I think that's the advantage that we have as smaller companies. It's very unbureaucratic, right? We see something and
Yeah.
it's like, hey, this thing is moving fast. Let's do it. Yeah. Any thoughts on that before we move on to the next question?
Well, oh yeah, for sure. For
Okay.
sure. First of all, I totally agree. I think that right now is the time of smaller companies. And
Yeah.
that's when leaner and more agile wins. Because creating something from scratch right now that's going to be 80% good or 60% good is unbelievably easy,
Yeah.
or like at least 10 times easier, maybe 20 times easier than it used to be. Like 5 years ago, if you wanted to create a new subscription business, well, you need at least a few million to get to where you're more you can deliver some really high quality service to your customers, or high quality enough for them to actually start buying it in volumes that'll make you more or less sustainable. Now you can start with 50K,
Yeah.
and you've got your app that you can already sell. And with this kind of economy, you can compete with businesses in price too. Like if it costs you 50,000 to build this, and for somebody else it's dozens of millions, they have to charge $10,000 a year. You can charge 1,000. You can charge less. And actually, new opportunities open. I'm very sure that we'll see a stream of new applications focused on the bottom of the market, on freelancers, on very small businesses, where historically or different organizations are not focusing on. Yeah, so that's number
And,
one. But still, you got to pick your battles. You still got to pick which areas you're going to be investing into, and
yeah.
that's what we're doing. We're betting a lot of things, but still, the list is limited.
No, I agree. So talking about subscription models, so I'm going to drop a link to SE Ranking. Anybody can try your tool for free. I got a link where people can sign up. I think no credit card required for a month-long free trial. Warning, sales pitch. So if you want to try SE Ranking, it's an awesome tool. The link is below. Um, Gosh, we could talk for hours, but that's not possible. So let's look ahead quickly. What are your predictions for the future of search, particularly regarding the role of AI agents? That's a whole different topic, right? Agentic
Yeah.
AI, personalized search experiences, etc. Keep it short if you can. I think we're running out of
Oof.
time.
Keeping it short. All right. Trying to keep it short. I'd say that extra personalized search results are already here. It's just that
Yeah.
they're not widespread. For example, I'm using the browser's company Arc browser, and they already have this built-in personalized search results where you put in a query and it creates you a personalized, essentially landing page summarizing all the information. I'm sure they'll soon be able to know all the context of all the queries in the past to further personalize that. And we already see that ChatGPT recently said that, yeah, we now chat remembers all of the previous context too. So extra personalized experiences were SERP features, essentially, as we know them right now. They're going to depend on your personal context, which is not happening right now. Right now, search results are personalized, but not to that extent. So that's number one. And number two, I'm thinking that agents are actually going to go further than that. And you'll be able either to ask right there or start with asking your agents to do the research for you, to maybe not the level of deep research that you're getting to get a white paper that's 27 pages long. No, but it'll do, like, you want a new pair of trainers? Sure. It'll know all the details about you. It'll find it and tell you the exact size that you want, how you wanted the delivery. They'll know what date you want it for. So it's definitely happening. And the only thing that you'll have to do is to make a decision, to press the button to add to cart or maybe to check out. That's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are delusional about the fact that, we're in this in-between phase where this new technology emerged, November 2022. And we're going to, in probably the not so distant future, we're going to be at a point where these AI agents, it's just normal for me to say, hey, AI agent, order me, I need milk or whatever it is, right? It's just gonna happen, and that's where we're at. We're in this build-up phase, so I'm excited, a bit scared as well, but the future
The
will
amazing
tell.
part the
Go
amazing
ahead.
part about it is that potentially it opens up a lot of opportunities for much smaller brands,
Yeah.
much smaller businesses, again, because at some point LLMs, what they're going to do once they have all the context, they're going to provide the information about the users that's aggregated, depersonalized, for advertising purposes, for optimization purposes, for marketing purposes, for the organizations to know what kind of pockets of interest exist. And these are going to be far deeper than what we're used to right now. And this means that there are going to be far more smaller pockets, smaller niches for smaller businesses. So
Hey.
I'm potentially I'm very hopeful about this. I'm generally optimistic, but I'm sure that there are going to be far more newer opportunities than we can imagine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So talking about opportunities, can you talk about briefly the roadmap with SE ranking? Do you have new AI powered features coming out? What's on the horizon with SE ranking and AI tools and features,
I
etc.?
mean, yeah, AI is big for us, for
Yeah.
sure. And in Q2 especially, I'll start with everything that we talked about, right? We've throughout Q4 and Q1, we've been talking with a lot of SEO professionals about their needs, how they want to approach LLM and AAO optimization. So now, empowered by this knowledge, we are building a set of tools that are focused specifically on optimizing for AAO and for LLMs. This is right now we have the rank tracker for AAO. It's going to be extended with mention tracking, right? So if your brand is within the text, then we're
Awesome.
going to be adding the same thing for at least ChatGPT. We're considering others. Number two with our user base is Gemini, for example. So at least these two we're starting with. Then obviously, like, what are you going to track if you don't know the keywords, right? So we're extending the research tools with sections focused specifically on AAO, so you can see which keywords are producing the most AAO traffic for you or for your competitor, and so you can understand like what the organic traffic, like how you're ranking overall, which keywords you might want to focus on, right, in terms of AAO.
Yeah.
That's number three. And number four, of course, is LLM research. This is the biggest one. There are a lot of technological challenges in this, and we're already knee deep into the process of like creating all the infrastructure and like gathering the information so that we can make it available to you, so that you can tell, okay, here's my presence in like ChatGPT, but here are the brands that I'm competing against. And with that information, we're already starting the research process to be able to tell you what to focus on better. Our ML engineers are going to help us like understand the deep links, and we'll be able to decipher some of the parameters to help SEO professionals thrive in this world and not really be scared. Yeah, so this is a big area for us in Q2 and later this year for sure.
Wow.
Simply
So
because, yeah.
interesting. So I always ask, when people find us, give us a call or send us an email. It's like, hey, what did you Google? Had a call last week. I think we're gonna end up working together. He's like, well, I use Perplexity, and
Uh-huh.
if you could do a Google search for SEO price guide in Perplexity, or I think most tools, right? It's a guide that we created using our micro SEO methodology. So he found us through we were one of the cited links, right? So this is what agencies, I think they're going to look for, right? I mean, this is reality. These tools, Gen AI tools, they will take a cut away from Google, and we're going to have to deal with it. We're going to have to be able to show clients. It's like, hey, we know how to optimize for these tools as well, and here's how it's working. So I'm excited to see what you guys are coming up with. I'm always excited when I get the emails with like product updates. So yeah, keep us posted,
Yeah,
Mike.
you're going to be the first in line for sure.
Sweet. Real quick, what are some common misconceptions about AI and SEO that you want to debunk? Maybe one or maybe two, just very briefly.
I mean, there are definitely quite a few,
Okay.
but the one I hear the most is that SEO is dead, right? I hear it in a lot of sensationalist articles like every month. But then sometimes our customers will also bring it to us, or some prospects, and they'll be like, "Oh, I read this article. It says it's going to be impossible to measure our performance to understand our visibility fully, or it's so unclear right now what to work on. Like, how do you do it?" In reality, I don't see SEO as dead. It's transforming, as we were discussing, and there's a lot of ambiguity, right? And people are scared for sure. But
Yeah.
right now, what's changing is how you appear in search results. It's not the game, but the SERP structure is evolving, right? Blue links are now essentially being phased out in favor of AAO. But the game is very similar. There are some new rules, but it's not the first time Google has introduced major changes. Now there are other players too. There is significant competition, but they are also using what's being called RAG. Essentially, they're enhancing LLM responses with current search results. And right now, you don't have to say ChatGPT, "Hey, I need this to be a search request." It knows already. It looks
Yeah.
at the context. It looks at are you talking about a date? Are you talking about a place? If it's location specific, time specific, it is going to enhance the results, because traditionally LLMs, even though most of them are using data up to like mid 2024 or something like that, and even if it's before that date, the they won't be able to comprehend and remember, quote unquote, everything correctly, right? They're far better at summarizing the search results. So in that regard, search is still going to be there to enhance the LLM experience. It's just the other way around now, right? It's going to be LLM first, but then search is enhancing it with the data. So I'd say, yeah, number one and the biggest one is that SEO is dead. I'd say it's not, at least not yet, not for the next few years. We don't have any other technology that would provide us anything close to um, help enhance the LLM results. So yeah, core methods: build trust, create valuable content, right? Optimize for user intent, get authoritative backlinks. They're still here. You still want to follow them. There are more nuances. It's getting harder because there are more people on the internet too, and more businesses, but it's not the end of the world.
So I'm actually gonna I had two more questions. I'm gonna combine them into one question because we already spoke about some of the content. So are tools like SE ranking are they're gonna go away because of these AI tools are getting more powerful. And if you follow certain people on LinkedIn, other experts, they're like, well, I'm just using this tool now. I'm gonna ditch, this and this SEO tool. You're in product. You're the perfect person to answer this question. Are tools like SE ranking gonna be dead in like 3-4 years?
I think not. So I believe that I believe it comes down to a simple fact of what we were talking about. Is
Yeah.
this an agile organization that is ready to embrace new reality? I think that our team is. And that was the reason I joined too, because I believe that the team here is ready for change, ready to look at the business from a different angle and to prepare for that, for the fact that we must be a tool that helps users succeed in this new era. And whatever we were doing in the past is still relevant for the moment, but we need to be moving forward and quickly. And so, in that regard, I'm sure that a lot of the solutions are going to die, even though they are going to be agile, simply because nobody knows what kind of solutions are needed right now. You can see a lot of AI search focused um, businesses and solutions from existing businesses popping up, and they're all very different. There's no baseline for what experience should be. And so that creates a lot of opportunities for agile players, but also a lot of uncertainty. That means that some tools are going to die for sure. Maybe even SE ranking, although I don't believe that. But in the end, there are going to be tools. As I was just saying, it's still going to be relevant even if we take away RAG and search. Would still be People would still need to understand what kind of queries people are putting into the chat GPT. What are the characteristics of them? Who should I be focusing if I'm producing this kind of product?
Yeah. And I think to that point, I don't think SE ranking is going to go away. I think it comes down to, how are you adapting as a business to this new technology? How do you take advantage of it, right? What are you going to do with this incredible new technology that nobody believed would ever exist, right? I certainly did it. So I
Yeah.
think both of our companies were taking advantage of this, and I think we're still going to be around in, the foreseeable future. But then who knows? Things are happening so fast. I know I'm excited about what's happening. And Mike, I'd like to thank you for this conversation. I had a blast. You're a very smart, intelligent person. You work for an amazing company. Any last thoughts for our listeners that you want to send them off into the crazy world of AI and SEO?
100%. Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you, Chris. Love being here. Hope people like our conversation too. And I'd say the last words be around the AI and the opportunities. The only thing I could say is just don't be afraid. Don't get stuck in the ways things are done. Just be open to new things. Experiment. Right now is the time of experimentation because things are changing. People who experiment are going to come out on top. The more mistakes you make, probably the higher on top you're going to be in a few years.
I completely agree. That's how I built my business. I made a lot of mistake in a short amount of time. Luckily I learned from it and like all in, like embrace this new craziness, the all this new technology stuff that comes out. For us, it's a gold mine. So I couldn't agree more with you, Mike. Again, this was a pleasure. We should do this again, maybe in a year from now. That's like a lifetime in terms of AI.
Yeah.
See where we're at, or maybe sooner. Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. I had a blast, and hopefully our listeners enjoyed this conversation. Feel free to reach out. Again, check the links below in the description field of this video. Mike, and have a great Easter. Enjoy time with your family. Your daughter has patiently been waiting for this interview to be over. Uh, yeah,
Yes.
we'll talk soon again.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for an amazing conversation. Happy Easter, and bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thanks, Mike.